regardless of where you are in the world right now, regardless of what time it is, and regardless of when the next time you're going to turn your phone off, shut your eyes, go to sleep, and wake up to the sound of your alarm clock, I want you to pause, because this is your surprise alarm. This is the alarm you forgot to set. This is your wake-up call. Today we are going to be diving into all of the lessons that we can learn from the big bomb that has dropped on the internet throughout the past couple of weeks, and that of course is that of Liz and Landon. And so yes, our collective idol, the woman who goes online and preaches about self-love and self-respect and self-worth, has fallen into the same trap I'm sure many of us have, but unfortunately hers have come with some pretty heavy repercussions, as she is 4 months pregnant with Landon's child, as he was attempting to cheat on her, failed, might I add, that's very embarrassing, with one of her subscribers. And so she did the brave thing of deciding to leave him right then and there, as she should. But today we're going to be talking about all of the patterns that I have noticed throughout observing the relationship, all of the information that's come out, and of course the key takeaways in all of this, so that we can all become smarter, more strategic, and more loving towards ourselves and the decisions, especially when it comes to romantic relationships, we make to protect ourselves in the long run. I truly feel this story deep in my chest. I couldn't sleep all night when I saw the news, and a part of that, of course, is because I love Liz. But another reason why is because I am a child that came out of a Wizard Liz situation. My mom was my Liz. She raised me to be the independent woman I am today. And growing up in a single mom household and watching both my mother and my father truly is what raised me to be a feminist. So when I look at Liz, I don't just see pain, I see healing at its root. Whatever path she takes as a mother, she is healing a lineage of women who were told to be quiet, who bent their boundaries in the name of love. Because the truth is, and the truth will always be, that a woman who knows her worth doesn't just heal herself. She rewrites her lineage. Now, as we begin this video, I want to start with a satire but painfully accurate display of some of the most common traps found in love bombing behavior that us women have been programmed to fall for since the beginning. This is a fantasy built over generations and through the media that we've consumed since childhood that told us to not think, only to feel, and chase the feeling of butterflies that men give us, when really that's just your body's alarm system waking you up to the fact that you are in danger, not only by the situation you're in, but by the men you're surrounded by, and at large, the patriarchal conditioning you're falling into. Liz and Catherine didn't just fall in love, they fell into the blueprint: aestheticized femininity, inner child wounds disguised as destiny, love bombing masked as divine timing. Like I said, it's satire, but it's painfully accurate, because they weren't just following their heart, they were following a script written long before they were born. And when you're intuitive, spiritual, but unhealed, that's the most dangerous combo, because now your delusion comes with a vision board. Both Liz and Catherine are spiritual, intuitive women. They talk about worth, healing, and feminine power, and I don't doubt their intuition, but what's frustrating is how easily they were still pulled into the exact traps they warned us about. Because you can say you're healed, you can read all the books, you can call it divine union, but if you don't check your conditioning, your wounds will still pick your partner. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Not just two influencers getting hurt, but two highly intuitive women manifesting the very pain they were trying to avoid. This is what happens when your desire to be loved outweighs your discernment.
and he's talking to me, and everyone else started to become noise.
And he's talking, and all of a sudden, like, I just don't hear anything.
But then I swear, guys, when I met Landon, immediately I thought I would want to a family with this guy.
Oh my gosh, that is a person that I'm gonna have children with, and that is a person that I'm going to marry.
And I'm a person, I'm very intuitive, so I feel things. I don't really think, I feel.
It was just a feeling. It was just this feeling. It's like this inner knowing.
Like literally the first day we connected and started talking to each other, we couldn't stop talking about marriage. We couldn't stop talking about starting a family.
He's like, yeah, I would love to have kids one day. He's like, you know, maybe in the future, you know, and he goes like, we'll start a family one day. And I was like, I know, like I feel it, you know, I feel a family for us.
All these things. And then she used to tell me, Liz, when you meet that right person, you're gonna want that.
But she said, when you meet the one, or when you meet someone that you're meant to be with, you skip the dating phase.
Also told me immediately when we hanged out in Santorini, I knew you were gonna be my wife. He's like, I became so protective over you already because I knew this is my wife.
Went from like meeting each other to being like, we're married.
There was something within him that made my inner child feel so safe.
Well, one, he doesn't care what anybody thinks. And I find that so attractive. And I feel like that's like my inner self is like, I don't give a shit what anyone thinks.
How soon into your relationship did you get pregnant?
Like 2 months. It was so quick.
Oh, wow.
It was so quick.
This man had access to Liz's every value, every standard, and every dream. Therefore, he studied her, mirrored her, became who she described as her ideal partner, and wore it like a mask.
It was like, you know, you would say it's like a voice in your head, but I had this overwhelming sense that I was going to marry you and that you were like the answer to my prayers in so many ways. And you're literally like, I feel like I manifested you. And I was sitting thinking, oh my God, I feel like I manifested you.
They weren't a match. They were a projection. And when the act got too heavy for him to carry, his mask slipped. If your man calls your intuition crazy, he is not the one. If he tries to gaslight your dreams, your instincts, your gut, he is absolutely not the one. He was insecure. She was divine. He couldn't handle the weight of her energy, not because she wasn't enough, but because she was too much for his unhealed ego. I came across this theory on TikTok that said the Wizard Liz subconsciously manifested the situation with Landon into her life. That her biggest fear, ending up like her mom, not because of the individual that her mother is, but by ending up in the situation that her mom was in, raising Liz, being hurt and abandoned, and having an unfaithful or abusive father, raising a child alone, lived so deeply in her nervous system and in her subconscious that it became her reality. And I definitely think there's some truth to that, not just in the Liz example, but in general, because we don't manifest what we want. We manifest what we are, what we believe, and what we store in our bodies. So without her even realizing it, Liz probably still had a lot of trauma living in her nervous system, which is why partnering with Landon felt so safe and familiar to her inner child before she realized or became aware of all of the red flags.
Oh, sometimes I just make you angry because I think that's hot, like a little angry.
Oh my God.
A lot of women do that.
Oh my goodness.
But then he gets actually angry. And then I'm like, wait a minute, now I also have to be actually angry.
But because of Liz's self-respect, her financial freedom, independence, and security, which are all things she preaches about on her channel, she was able to do something that I'm sure her ancestors that came before her weren't able to do. She left, she chose herself, and she was able to provide a safe house for herself and eventually her child as well. She didn't stay. She didn't rationalize. She didn't self-abandon. That is how the karmic loop ends. Not because you never entered it, although, as we know now, there are many signs that we have to be aware of to prevent entering it in the first place. However, it's the fact that you were able to leave it which breaks the loop, because you finally chose differently for yourself. Before any of this surfaced on the internet, Liz had dreams. She knew, and you know too. We always do. The body holds what the mind refuses to say. Your subconscious will scream at you in your dreams when you silence it in daylight. Intuition is not paranoia. It's spiritual surveillance. It is your soul watching out for you. If you are completely surprised he cheated, you're not a fool. You're just not tapped into your power. Just like an employee should never be shocked when their manager fires them. You should have seen the signs, because there will always be signs communicated. Because in all of these situations where there's usually a feeling of denial, we're not dealing with love. We're dealing with emotional negligence. You possess all of the answers you're looking for within. So even if you're not aware when you're awake, your subconscious will shake your shoulders when you sleep. Love is not romance, and it's not self-sacrifice. Stop doing things because you love him. Do things because you love yourself. Marriage was never built on love. It was built as a business contract. Romantic love, although in very rare cases was present, didn't emerge as a value until the late Middle Ages. And it wasn't until 18th century and middle-class America that marriage and love became synonymous. Even the diamond ring, a symbol of forever, was invented in 1947 as a De Beers marketing campaign. This idea that love equals sacrifice and marriage equals devotion is sold to you. Love has been commodified.
The person that you marry is the most logical decision you can ever make. When you invest in a stock, you like to look at the historical trends of that stock, because the past actions are going to predict the future actions. So many of you don't do that, and narcissists prey on the naivety.
Statistically, men's financial, emotional, and social status increases when married, whereas women's declines. Women continue to take on 2/3 of the housework, the invisible labor, the childbearing, even in a dual income household. So the second you enter into a relationship with a man, you're already down. And the second you sleep with him, that imbalance widens. The truth is, most men benefit from women more than women benefit from men. That is why you must protect your energy at all costs. The Impossible Dream, an animated short film co-produced by the United Nations in 1983, focused on the double burdens faced by women juggling full-time jobs and household responsibility. This clip is from decades ago, but it's still the story for so many women today. What has changed? Truly, this is the very system Wizard Liz, whether she realized it or not, was stepping into. The illusion of love, the aesthetic of soft life, the fantasy of safety. I would say she was slowly being romanticized into making this invisible labor her life, but in her case, this all happened within weeks. So very fast was she love bombed into making this invisible labor her life. Because no matter how much self-help you preach, if you still carry unhealed, internalized misogyny, it will show up in who you choose and what you tolerate. That's not to discredit the good Liz has done. Her work on self-worth, feminine energy, and healing has helped millions. But the truth is, it's not enough to talk about high standards if the standards still obey patriarchy. It's not enough to wear the crown of empowerment while still playing by the rules of the system that crowned you. And this is not just about her. It's about all of us who are sold this fairy tale blueprint of femininity. We're taught to narrate strength in a way that's always digestible, beautiful, and ultimately palatable to men. But at what cost?
Say something that's probably gonna piss people off, so brace yourselves. Men tell women to enjoy being alone because that's men's biggest fear. But for women, that's a normal thing. We're used to that. That's our baseline. Because women don't get as much out of relationships as men do. Like, there's a reason women say that if they had children, they would want to be the dad and not the mom. Because being a mom is grueling. You are doing 2 times more domestic labor and childcare than your husband and the father of your children. Your labor, your emotional labor, your relational labor, your mental labor, your domestic labor, your physical labor is all being exploited. Women are doing more in and out of relationships, and it's exhausting. They get less out of relationships than men do. And this goes so far back as even into boyhood, into childhood. Point in time, women relied on men as a means of survival because they couldn't open up their own lines of credit. They couldn't have their own checking accounts. They literally relied on men for means of survival. And now we don't need that. We are going to school, we are outpacing men in college degrees, we are outpacing men in workforce participation, we are outpacing men in home ownership. We are the men now, and we don't need men in our lives unless they are adding to it. But unfortunately, most men aren't. Most men are depleting women in relationships. Gone are the days of men simply needing a decent, well-paying job and health insurance to land and keep a wife. Those days are gone because women provide those things for themselves, and men don't have anything else to offer anymore outside of that because that's what they were taught, that's all they had to provide, and now that is no longer enough. Men get so much more out of relationships, but the same cannot be said for women in relationships.
Most men, to some degree, carry ancestral trauma, patriarchal conditioning, and internalized superiority. The same way almost every woman has struggled with body image or self-worth. Almost every man has benefited from and perpetuated a system that devalues women.
On average, when you set up a new TikTok account in the name of a teenage boy, it takes just 30 minutes before the first piece of extreme misogynistic content will be promoted to that account.
And about 90% of us also experience some form of internalized misogyny, whether it's judging other women, doubting ourselves, or measuring our worth by male approval. If he's not a feminist, he's not the one. If he doesn't vote for your rights, he's not the one. If he doesn't respect a woman he doesn't know or isn't sexually attracted to, he's not the one. If he doesn't educate his friends or get outraged on the continuous injustices that happen to women all across the world every single day, he's not the one. If he does not care to consider that the #1 cause of death in pregnant women is homicide before going on about how he wants to be the father of 5 children, he is not the one.
But honestly, if I have a castle and I have like 100 cats, I can adopt. Doesn't matter, you know?
1 baby for every cat.
Yeah, 100 children.
How many kids do you guys think Liz and I are gonna have? I think we're gonna have 5.
5.
Mm-hmm.
I need to birth those.
I want to name one of them Euclid, and she hates this name. She thinks it's terrible.
It's a mathematician.
She said, Euclid Nickerson, give that kid a break.
Like I mentioned earlier, Liz said that Landon made her inner child feel safe. But here's what I need you to understand. He didn't make her inner child feel safe. He reminded her inner child of what she believed love was. That's a big difference. That safety wasn't her intuition. It wasn't this romantic sparks aligning moment. It was her familiarity with chaos, with corruption, confused as charm. Landon literally said in their Q&A video how controlling he was and how he was protective of her the second they met in the airport because he knew this was my wife. Babe, that's not love, and that's not something we should be romanticizing. That is control and objectification of women.
How to get rid of jealousy and possessiveness in a relationship. I'm not really a jealous person.
I kind of am.
You are.
Yeah, naturally I'm more of a...
And very possessive.
To be honest.
And very controlling.
But you're my girl.
Yeah, okay.
You're my baby.
Yeah, he's very, very controlling.
And unfortunately, Liz comes from a past of seeing that pattern play out with the parental figures in her life. In other words, this relationship was really just her trauma pattern echoing back to her. So my friends, that is how easy it is to mistake the past for alignment. You didn't lose your trust in love because of what's happening to Liz. If you lost it, you never understood love to begin with. Love has never been about two people being together. That is what we call attachment. Love, true love, is freedom, clarity, and respect. Cheating is an evil in itself. And I will argue this when we take a look at the animal kingdom. There are over 2,000 species of animals that engage in homosexual relationships. Thousands of species exhibit bisexual, homosexual, or non-monogamous behavior. So, our societally conditioned idea that monogamy is normal is false. Monogamy is rare. And so when it comes to cheating, it's not about biology. It's about agreement. As the Wizard Liz said herself, she would never tolerate or accept a man that cheats on her because cheating is a form of abuse. In my words, cheating becomes abuse when you've both agreed to monogamy and he breaks that promise. It's not just betrayal. It's a violation of your energetic contract. It's not he liked her more. It's he disrespected what you both agreed to. It's not you weren't enough. It's he was never ready to honor the divine. Your sacral chakra is your portal. When a man cheats, he doesn't just cheat sexually. He literally brings foreign energy, the microbiome of another woman, into your body. He disrupts your energy field, your cycles, your hormones. That's why it's not about her. It's about you. And I invite you to reframe your mindset around cheating, because the act of cheating is never about the woman. It always comes down to the man's ego and the man's insecurity, which we will talk about more in a second. But do not ever think for 1 second your worth is lowered or becomes a question if a man can't get his shit together to treat you with devotion. And have these conversations not only with yourself, but with partners you're interested in, whether monogamy is really your thing. Truly, taboos aside. And if it is a value you're gonna hold in place, make sure it is very clear and understood why that is a value you hold for yourself, not in the name of I love this man, in the name of I love me. And make sure that he understands why he needs to uphold and respect that value if he's going to be with you. That being said, I practice celibacy or abstinence, not out of fear, but because there is nothing that I respect more than the divine within me. My sacral chakra is the seat of my life force. It creates, it nurtures, it manifests. Why in the world would I give that to someone not in full devotion to the feminine? Abstinence or celibacy is a very important spiritual practice, I believe, for us human beings. And that's why it's been in place way before our modern or westernized ideals about abstinence and the taboos around that, or the misogynistic view around that was ever in place. Some of the most intelligent people in the world were all celibate, because there is a direct connection between our sacral and sexual energy and our creativity and our inner genius and the things that we can create and give back to consciousness. So I'm not interested in a man that just worships me. I want one who worships womanhood, who honors the feminine in all of her forms, who challenges his conditioning, who treats women, strangers, waitresses, mothers, friends with reverence, because otherwise I am stuck with a man who feeds me noise. I am stuck with a man who is not my ally. Because in this patriarchy and in almost all of history, men are not your ally, and men have never been a woman's ally. So as a result, if this man is not an ally to women, he is not your ally either. There's something that a lot of people don't know when it comes to pregnancy, and that is when a woman gets pregnant, the DNA of the man she had a child with lives in her body for up to 7 years. Landon's essence is inside Liz, biologically, spiritually, and energetically. This is why baby trapping is way more dangerous just from the physical consequences and repercussions of having a child. It also affects you as an individual, your energy field, your decisions, your personality for up to 7 years. So if your baby daddy is a narcissist or heavily depressed or heavily anxious or has very dangerous thought patterns, that DNA is literally living inside of you. And I'm sorry, being engaged to someone for 7 months or getting pregnant at the 3-month mark is nowhere near enough time to know somebody fully, to consciously make the decision that, yeah, I wouldn't mind sacrificing my life and my DNA to have his take over my life for a bit.
Y'all need to leave the Wizard Liz alone. That is no longer Liz. That is Landon in female form. It is scientifically proven that the moment that a man enters your bloodstream, you literally morph into that man. You have his DNA for 7 years. All common sense goes out the window. I was a victim of it. I seen my baby daddy texting men while I was pregnant, and I thought I was the problem. No, he's literally gay. He just wanted to be one of the girls, and I'm thinking there's something wrong with me. No, like, I can't believe y'all are confused that she went back to him and she's talking to him. Hello? Y'all know how pregnancy brain works? A baby is like having a parasite. Like, that is not her no more.
And of course, that is not a shade to Liz. Again, this is just my personal opinion and analysis using objective information and science to help you make a more well-informed, mindful decision before you end up sleeping with someone or romanticizing the idea of having a family with someone. Because that is also one of the most common traps we see in men that love bomb. This idea that we're gonna start a family together so fast, like, no. You need years before you fully know somebody. You need years to be in a long-term committed relationship with someone. A relationship that has moved through and past the honeymoon phase and the phase where the man is wearing this mask to be everything he thinks you want and desire to get in bed with you. We need to move past all that and abstain as long as we can, in my opinion, to fully know and get comfortable with this person, to fully decide, is this person aligned with me? Is their energy going to uplift, benefit, and make me a better divine feminine? Or is it going to siphon and take away from my divinity? So for Liz specifically, this isn't just a breakup. It's a cellular reprogramming. This isn't just healing from heartbreak. This is reclaiming her entire energetic field.
But you don't want to sleep with them, then don't sleep with them. Who's telling y'all to sleep with these men? If you're smart, you don't have to sleep with nobody. Stop thinking y'all got to sleep with these men. Y'all, that's some pygmisha broke-minded stuff. Rich women don't walk around talking about, oh, I don't want to date this man because I don't want to sleep with him. Rich women don't barely sleep with nobody unless they want to. Think like you're already rich. Stop thinking like you're broke. Just because they do something for you don't mean that's what they get in return. They get a thank you. And you're welcome for me being in your presence and upping your status out in public. That's all they get. Okay, y'all are dumb. That's all you think you're worth. That's what your problems are. That's why you don't understand that you deserve better. Your presence and a thank you is quite enough. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Start thinking like you're a rich woman. They're not walking around sleeping with everything who gives them a compliment. They're not walking around sleeping with every man who buys them some food to chew across a table with. Where's your self-worth? Men have to work for rich women.
Men feed you with noise. They feed you with distractions. They feed your ego. And the more in tune, the more spiritual, the more valuable you see yourself to be, the more mindful and discerning you need to be about your energy, because let me tell you, it is powerful, it is important, and so it needs to be protected. You need to become more aware, because men are going to try to siphon that energy. Men disrupt women. They disrupt women's cycles. The modern world operates on a 24-hour cycle, the male hormonal clock. But women are cyclical beings. We function on a 28-day rhythm. Men, systems, schedules are not designed with that in mind. And naturally, that is what they're going to expect us to do when we enter a relationship with them. We disrupt our flow. Men are the most dangerous thing in a woman's life. And I'm not saying that to be sarcastic. It's actually very true and very serious on both minor and major scales. On a personal level, men disrupt women's hormones. They disrupt our sleep. They dysregulate our nervous system. They siphon our energy, especially when we are in relationships where we must constantly adjust, serve, and anticipate. That is not love. That is adrenal fatigue disguised as partnership. You are the most powerful being there is. You are God, source, creation, existence itself. So your self-respect needs to be so high, you genuinely ask yourself, does this man add to my life? Does he match the energy I carry? Can he hold this space I've carved with my own hands? Men have made you think that attention is validation, and being selected by him should be the axis in which your world spins around. This is all ego. This is not what fills up the cup of your soul, and this is not the legacy your soul is designed to have to level up human consciousness. He is not the sun. You are, and everything in your solar system, men included, revolves around you and the decisions you make for your life. Let him prove he deserves proximity to your light, not because you love him. When Liz's therapist told her, you say you don't want to get married or have kids now, but when you meet the right one, you'll change your mind, she believed it when Landon came into the picture. Now, no offense, this therapist needs to have her license revoked, because what she did when she told Liz that was to let go of her personal values to fit into the idea of what real love looks like in our patriarchal and misogynistic world. So her next to immediate baby fever is not just natural intuition, it's social programming. It's centuries of conditioning women to believe that motherhood and marriage are our final purpose. With that being said, as a feminist, I wholeheartedly believe that it's okay to want to have kids. It's okay to want a marriage union, but decide that for yourself. Remove all the noise. Forget everything Disney, Hallmark, Pixar told you about love and romance and motherhood and the greatness of it all. Remove everything you've ever heard from everybody else about just wait till you find the right one. And you don't have a boyfriend? Aren't you unhappy? It's okay, you'll find someone soon, blah, 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 blah. Remove all that noise out the window. Sit with yourself and truly ask yourself, do I want kids? Yes or no? And why do I want kids? Why is the key word in all of this. Why have I been programmed to believe that motherhood is a positive incentive? Why have I been led to believe that motherhood is a pursuit I should take? Why have I been led to believe to glorify marriage when really, in most cases, it's a form of oppression? Why have I been led to believe that this path of settling for a man who's going to make me do all of this invisible motherhood housework for him to adopt a man-child is something that I would want to do if it wasn't in the name of love and validation and conditioning that told me that this was what my life was made for? Was that really what you were made for? Sit down, quiet the noise and ask yourself that, because I can promise you, you're going to find a lot more reasons why your life is valuable and worth living than dropping everything else in your life and making domestication your sole priority. So don't be like Liz in this situation. Do not change your values for a man. And that's the key word, values. That doesn't mean not compromising or not sharing. That means not changing the core parts of your identity, the values in your life for somebody else. Make sure that the man you choose matches your values. Now, even though I am no supporter of the patriarchy, one thing I will say is that men are important. However, unlike the patriarchy says, it's not because we need them to be whole, but because they help us return to ourselves. They are the mirrors. This can be seen through Liz's situation. I'm sure this can be seen through some of yours. And of course, it can definitely be seen in mine. Every romantic interest I've ever had was an era in my life, a teacher, a reflection of my current self-worth. The good news is I never dated them, but I was still able to turn the fingerprints they left on me into spiritual knowledge and wisdom. You do not need to date men to be affected by them. You do not have to give up the most powerful parts of you in the name of love. Their energy alone can shape your evolution if you let it. We don't need men to be whole, but we can use them to remember that all we need to do is simply return back to ourselves every time we catch ourselves attaching to them, because there is nobody, no matter how hard we hope, that will give us that sense of wholeness but ourselves. Most of the time, when we dive in too fast, we're getting way too swept up in that noise. Most likely because of that patriarchal conditioning. Men make you feel validated, desired, and beautiful, but they'll lie to get there to you. They say what they need to say to get in bed, to get chosen, to win. And when you are down bad, when you are aching to be chosen, you think their attention is healing you. It's not. It's filling a hole in your ego, not your soul. This is not what lights you up. This is what dims you down. This is not your legacy. This is not your soul's purpose. Because believe me, you will never know peace until you know yourself. Until the inner workings of your mind become signals, not enemies. You don't need to check in with someone daily for validation. Your worth does not depend on a good morning text. You don't need someone watching your every move and calculating to make you feel loved and important. You don't need to shrink your dreams to serve someone else. That is not love. That is self-abandonment. Another lesson that came out of this that none of our egos want to admit is that Liz isn't above the program. None of us are. Like Liz, you can do the healing, you can do the work, the self-love, the therapy, the affirmations. But if you think your power makes you immune to pain, makes you immune to manipulation, you're forgetting how deeply the patriarchy runs. Instead of viewing the world from the misogynistic rose-colored glasses of fantasy, of wanting my one, so falling at the feet of him like no tomorrow, you're looking at the world through I'm love and light, I'm healed, I'm a divine feminine, and therefore everyone around me is that reflection. Now, in general, like I said, you are what you attract. That doesn't always mean that everyone who comes into your life is going to be the person that is your divine masculine counterpart. They could very well be just the next level of mirror and projection, and in other words, lesson you need to move forward and then eventually get to your counterpart if that's what you're looking for. Now, when I first filmed this video, me in the blue top, this was literally the morning or the day after Liz Liz had posted on her story about all of this information. So the first day this all came out on the internet. Since then, lots of information has surfaced on the internet, both from Liz and Landon, and also an ex-partner of Landon named Abby, I believe. Now, that conversation is a completely different video, I think, and I don't want to touch too much on that in Abby's side because I really don't think it's my place to say whether she's right or wrong. However, when it comes to very serious allegations like SA, I'm always going to believe the women until I have reason to believe otherwise, because we come from a history of silencing women for these kinds of things. And if we look at the statistics, like 91% of homicide victims are women, 99% of homicides are caused by men. Like I said about the pregnant fact, I forget if it was in this video, I think it was, but like the most common cause of death in pregnant women is homicide, and it's almost always by a man she knows, so a partner, a husband, an ex-boyfriend, a father, but most of the times, again, it's a current romantic partner.
Men don't understand that there's a male epidemic of loneliness because the most dangerous person in a woman's life is the man that loves her. That is a real statistic. Home is the most dangerous place for women, with majority of female homicide victims worldwide killed by partners or family, the UN says.
So statistically, it's very probable that that whole situation was correct in itself, and Liz's response to that probably wasn't appropriate. But again, without getting too much into that, I just basically want to briefly touch on the fact that when this information came out, Liz defended Landon, and in my opinion, it's not because she knew the truth, but because admitting she was wrong would mean confronting that she herself betrayed her own teachings. To not defend Landon would mean that her idea of their love story, the one that she made very public in terms of them meeting at the airport and it was this divine stars aligning destiny, he recognized me with a mask and a hat on and everyone around me just stopped, would be false. To not defend Landon would mean that Liz was the same victim of patterns as Abby was.
It's just like, you know how, imagine I'm doing something and you don't agree. Then you'll go every possible way to make me not do that thing. Like anything you can bully.
No, whoa. Don't say that. Control. No, they're gonna think I'm like holding you hostage.
No.
Blink twice.
No.
Like...
There's a reason why clips of Abby and Liz are going viral, showing just how identical Landon's behavior was with both Abby and Liz. Because it's not just a coincidence, it's a pattern. Abby describes how Landon bombarded her with gifts, grand gestures, and affections right from the start. A book, a bouquet, a song, all within a month. Sound familiar? She even mentions how the reason why she fell in love with Landon, besides all of these grand gestures, is because of how smart he is. The very same reason Liz gave for explaining why she chose Landon as her partner. It's the quote-unquote emotional depth and intellect Landon seemed to have, perfectly wrapped with the bow of thousands of flowers for these women, who both also mentioned, wow, if he's doing all of this for me so fast, he must really love me. He must really care about me. And that's exactly the problem. She fell in love with the gesture, not the man, not his character, not consistency, not respect. She fell for the fantasy, because that's what love bombing is. Fantasy. A manufactured illusion of safety, intensity, and attention. It's what makes your inner child feel chosen, seen, safe. And that's not a judgment. It's a trauma response. In another video, Liz admits, because I had an abusive childhood, it's very hard for me to comprehend when someone is emotionally abusing me.
My ex-boyfriend, who I still used to see because I felt bad for him. And I just realized that these people have been emotionally abusing me. So because I had an abusive childhood, it's very hard for me to comprehend when someone is emotionally abusing me. So for me, it's almost like you have to actually physically hit me in order order for me to understand that what you're doing is wrong.
This isn't just about Landon's charm. It's about how emotional predators know how to read the wounds in women and mirror exactly what they've always needed to hear. And that's the most painful part. Liz, a woman who preaches self-worth, boundaries, and knowing your value, was manipulated using the same tactics her high-value woman persona warns others about. Because no matter how spiritual or self-aware you are, if your nervous system isn't healed, you'll keep finding love in what's familiar, even if it's chaos in disguise. So the next time a man writes you a poem, sends you a song, and showers you with flowers, you ask yourself, is this love or is it leverage? Love isn't a performance. It's consistency, integrity, safety, and you deserve nothing less. So to sum it up, she wasn't defending him, she was defending her decision and the fantasy she built around it.
I know a lot of women in my life that always try to look for partners, try to look for love, and that's like their whole goal, and they never attract it. And they then ask me like, Liz, how come you attract so easily, like whatever you want? And it's like, I don't have that desperation for it. Like, that's why it comes to me.
No. So this is some of the worst advice I've ever heard. And I think this is kind of why a lot of women are struggling with their dating lives right now. Because the worst thing that we've been taught is being proactive and being desperate are synonymous. And it's so funny because it really reminds me of Sex and the City when all of Charlotte's friends were making fun of her for being really strategic, for actively searching for a partner. But at the end, it got her everything that she's ever wanted. And it's really funny because actually Charlotte was the most empowered.
How to apply successful business strategies to finding a husband. Chapter 1. How to get ahead by giving head.
Fine, make fun. It's a very smart book. It encourages professional women to approach finding a mate with the same kind of dedication and organization that they bring to their careers. Yeah, I'm more a student of chaos theory. Anyway.
Okay, so they're rolling their eyes and laughing at her, but who got the best outcome romantically? Who got all their needs met? Charlotte. Yeah, she made life happen for her. Life wasn't happening to her. And that's the main difference. She said, this is what I'm gonna do, these are my standards, and they're gonna be met, period. I don't care what you guys think. She wasn't out here just writing her journal, manifesting, and caring about the opinions of her friends for looking too desperate. And look who got everything she wanted. It's doing the legwork and setting yourself up for the best possible outcome. The Landons of the world, they're the predators, who know exactly how to love bomb and trap these amazing women. And because you're kind of like accepting and confusing what's coming to you as your romantic destiny instead of the oppression that it is when you don't do the work, when you don't really research and understand who this man is before you marry him, before you have this baby. You are centering this man who can potentially destroy your life. And you're going to mistake it for romantic destiny the way that Liz did. Because she did want somebody in her life. She was ready for her romantic partner. But the problem is she expressed that she hated dating. And I think that's really common. But you have to get comfortable with the idea of vetting people, of doing the work. And that often comes with dating. Otherwise, you're going to confuse the Landons who prey and who manipulate and who know exactly how to trap you as your destiny. Confusing manifestation for actual legwork, research, and being proactive and attaining everything that you want in your romantic life is going to be the downfall of our generation. You have to be like Charlotte and do the research and the legwork if what you want is a really great romantic partner. If that's what you want, you have to lay out your conditions and your standards and make sure that they're met. You have to be screening these guys. And even though I still think that Charlotte could have done better, all her standards were met. She was still the happiest out of the four. And that's not random. Because I'm telling you guys, you will end up with a Landon if you keep taking this advice. And then when somebody comes in your life and knows exactly how to love bomb you, you're going to take it as a sign like, oh, it's the universe sending me this guy and we're aligned. No, you're setting yourself up for chaos when you think like that. You really need to put yourself in the right circumstances the way Charlotte did. Not just manifest, but literally put yourself in the right circumstances. She wasn't just sitting back and chilling at an airport or just waiting for life to happen to her. She was proactive like a man. And I think that's the difference. She was in her power. She went exactly to the places where her values aligned with a potential partner. She was not chilling. She had enough self-confidence to be like, I'm going to be at these places where I know that my future husband can be. Our beliefs are going to align. And still letting like the men come and still letting the man be a man and be like pursuing and worshiping you.
Men will feed you with noise, especially the more spiritual, intuitive, radiant you are, because you are magnetic and they want to consume that light. To men, this is a game. For men, they're in it to see if they still got it, if they can get the girl, because they operate on the chase. They attempt to feel masculine by conquering and crushing the wounded feminine. The second you bend your standards and you fall for the misogynistic thinking, just wait till you meet the right one because it's different when you're in love, you're doing it wrong. You've fallen into the trap again. You've lost your connection to your higher self, to your source. You've lost yourself. You are not and will never be acting out of love in this state. You are acting out of lack because you're buying into the narrative that was sold to you all along, the narrative that feels most familiar to you, the things our parents and society and Disney princesses told us, the hallmark tradition of falling and losing yourself. But just remember, television is to tell a vision.
So y'all are sitting over here crying and talking about, but I love him, I'm gonna build him, I'm gonna stick by his side. He ain't gonna stick by your side, and all your belongings is going to the next chick or being sold and the money is given to the next chick, which is probably way younger.
The act of love comes from within you, and the true emotional fulfillment that you feel from love will be like no other. So channel that into yourself, channel that into your purpose, but never, ever use your emotions or use love for another, the attachment, the illusion of love to make your decisions, especially quick ones, because men don't. Men are calculated. Men use their mind. This is a game to them. This is a strategy. And they've been taught in the patriarchy how to play the game well. We've been taught how to fall for it.
I told this what's a creature?
This thing over here.
I told this woman that I loved her within 36 hours of knowing her. And I literally told her within 36 hours, I was like, look, this is gonna sound like a lot and I'm sorry because I know it's weird, but I know I'm supposed to marry you. And that's weird as heck, but like, is what it is.
She was already the Wizard Liz before all of this, but now she is the woman who walked away with her head held high while pregnant and with the entire world watching. That is divine feminine leadership. That is energetic sovereignty. That is alchemy. She didn't fall. She transformed. And if you're in the middle of your own transformation, if you're grieving, doubting, remembering, just know you don't lose your power by getting played. You gain power when you choose yourself after. You are untouchable. You are divine. Let this be your reminder. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose yourself.
What if you never find a man who will truly love you? You probably won't. Because men really don't settle down because they fall in love. Men mostly settle down because they feel like they're getting old and they're gonna die alone. Okay? And then when they wake up one day and they're real old and all their friends are married, got kids, then now they feel like, oh, it's my turn now. You know, they don't view it like women do. They don't wake up saying, oh, I want to find the greatest love of my life and true love. Men don't. Have you ever heard a man talking about he want to find true love? No. You're never going to find a man that he's truly going to fall in love with you. You fall in love with yourself and choose the man who is going to treat you the best. If you don't love yourself unconditionally, then stop right there and ask yourself, why not? Why don't you? Is it because you don't feel anyone else does, so you don't feel like you deserve to be loved unconditionally? Do you feel that way? Well, if you don't feel unconditionally loved by someone, then let that person be you. That means no matter what the circumstance, no matter how you look, how you feel, you still love yourself and are the priority, period. I don't care if you looking like who did it and why, bloated, having a bad day, didn't get your hair done. You're still a person that deserves unconditional love. And if no one else is there to give it to yourself. Why? Because you are the one that's going to take yourself from looking like who did it and why to the best version of yourself, or make yourself how you want to be in the future. Only you and your thoughts, your mind, your actions, and all of those things. So if you don't love you, then you're telling yourself all of those things that you're doing, all those choices that you're making towards a better version of yourself is in vain, because you don't even love yourself.
There are no exceptions in the patriarchy, but there is transcendence. And living your desired reality with peace and solitude and sovereignty is absolutely possible. And if that for you includes a partner, then that's absolutely possible too. But it's not something that causes you to fall and lose yourself in the name of love. It's not something that traps you or love bombs you or manipulates you. It's something that calls you home. It's something that reminds you of your power and who you are. So please be careful with who you believe that person to be, and let them prove that to you steadily, consistently, and over a long period of time. And so in other words, your divine masculine counterpart the dream man, the dream partner, he's not the norm. He's not the standard in a patriarchal society. That's not to say he doesn't exist. That's just to say he's not the norm. And so mathematically or statistically, it's probably not going to be the third or fourth person you date seriously. It's probably going to be someone a little more down the line, or if you're single like me, it's going to be not the first few fishes in the sea or the select number of people you go on first dates with. With that being said, I love you 224. Thank you for being here, supporting my channel, watching this video. I hope it was useful. Again, I really wanted to approach this with as much love and respect as I possibly can, because this is a video about growth and lessons using objective information and not gossiping or bashing. I really do respect Liz and I feel for her and what she's going through. This was requested by a few subscribers of mine. So if you were one of those people, I love you so much. And I'm really thankful that you also felt called to help me gain the confidence to make this a video topic. What I'm really trying to say is I'm really glad that you girls are very much on the same page with me in terms of the conversations you want to have and the community you want to build. And I just feel really lucky to know that you feel safe enough to have these really vulnerable conversations together with me. So thank you. I love you so much. As always, I will see you in the next one.